Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Got a new toy to show off today, and by new I mean brand new, which is very rare for me. I almost never buy new things. You'll remember a few videos ago I asked opinions about these Masterforce toolboxes that are sold by Menards. Menards is like a big box home improvement type store, kind of like a Lowe's or a Home Depot that we have here in the Midwest. I think they're based out of Wisconsin. So just before Christmas, this toolbox went on sale. It was $13.99 and the top was $169. So I think for like $1,560 all in, I bought the combination toolbox and top. Free shipping from their warehouse to my store, and I went and picked it up. I think it's available in green, black, gray, and blue. And there's some different options on the trim color too. But yeah, pretty well packed, and there's no assembly, I don't think. You just take it off the skid and away you go. So this is advertised as a 72-inch model, which I guess means it's 72 inches long. And I went with the stainless steel top, which I have sitting on here now. So you see, what, almost 73 inches to the outside of the actual box. And the depth is just over 24 inches. And the height to the top of the actual box is 45, to the top is 46.5. And the caster wheels are every bit of 6 inches. Oh, inside the top drawer is the handle, and this deal here I think is for winding up the electrical cord. It does have an outlet panel on the side, and then it comes with pre-cut drawer liners. So there's a power strip here that has, it's kind of hard to see over here, 2 USBs and 4 110 volt outlets. Looks like it's good for 15 amps. And then there's a little winder deal for your cord there. I probably won't use that very much. Got a fairly sturdy handle here. I don't think it's quite as nice as the one on my Mac box, but at least it has it. And the casters, oh, come on, baby. So 2 locking casters on the swiveling end. And they seem to be pretty nice locks. The ones on my Mac toolbox are not very good. Now, the big thing that I really liked about this toolbox when I looked at it, so in the past, the Masterforce large toolboxes, they all had 6 casters. And they were kind of cheap and cheesy built. This thing is like a real toolbox. It's got a real frame underneath of it. It's supposed to be good for 3,000 pounds total weight. So the big thing that I like about it is it has 3 long drawers. I like the long drawers because it got all these pry bars and long extensions and stuff that won't fit anywhere. And right now they're all kind of tucked in the back of that top drawer where I have all my sockets. And the other thing that I really like about this is these lift latches for the drawers. So you don't have to worry about detents for the slides. It has a lift up latch. Here's a good comparison between the new Masterforce and my old faithful Mac Tools Tech 1000 toolbox. Now this Mac box, I've had it for 14 years, I think, best I can tell. And it was used when I got it. I bought it on an auction from a guy who retired as a mechanic, but it's been all over with me. I took it to college, and it's been in at least 4 different states, and you know, lifted and hauled and strapped and bumped into things. It's been a really good box. So the only problem I really have with the Mac toolbox, number 1, it's too small, and number 2, all the drawer slides are worn out and the detents don't work anymore. So you absolutely cannot roll it anywhere without using the actual key lock to lock everything down. And you know, when I started working in the truck repair shop, This is how everybody had their toolbox laid out. The toolbox worked also as a workbench, and then they each had a vise. We didn't use tool carts or roll carts or anything like that. We just used these workbenches, and it's a good system for a shop where you have a lot of room to move around. I don't know if I've talked about this toolbox a whole lot. This is a Mac Tools Tech 1000, and I think that they still make this toolbox relatively unchanged from this model. And these are really popular. It's kind of the mid-range box between the Economizer, which is their entry-level stuff, and the Maximizer, which is the top of the line. And I really want a Maximizer toolbox, or wanted one, but they're crazy expensive, and you don't hardly ever see one come up, used for sale. Anyway, the top, I made this top. It's made out of oak, and I think I used old trailer deck boards to make this, or maybe they were cut-offs from new trailer deck boards. Anyway, it's made from solid oak. It's about maybe 1.5 inches thick, and I planed them all down and edge glued them all together. But the thing is, I didn't understand like the cup effect of wood when I made it. So when I made it, it just curled up like a banana, and I actually had to go underneath and screw down to the top of the toolbox to pull it back flat. So kind of a early lesson in woodworking there. And then I had this Colombian, I guess, 6-inch vise. It's just a cheap Chinese vise, but I've beat the hell out of this thing. And you can see I've gotten into it with the cutoff wheel a few times, and it's been a really good vise. And it's super, super handy to have a vise on your toolbox. It's basically like having a big workbench that comes around with you everywhere. And the thing's just kind of jam-packed full. The socket drawer is not too bad, but some of these other drawers, you couldn't even get any more stuff in there if you tried. These are all inch wrenches and pry bars, metric wrenches and hammers, and an obscene amount of pliers. Like, who needs that many pliers? Oh, that's all torque wrenches and air sanders and drills and drill bits and crap like that. Oh, then we got the Big Daddy stuff in the bottom drawer that doesn't get used too often. I'm going to try out this Central Pneumatic Earthquake 3/4 drive impact. Somebody gave that to me, if you can believe that. I haven't really used it yet. My old Ingersoll packed up. Like I said, I don't really have that much to put in this deep drawer, so I just keep some miscellaneous crap in there. It's kind of a waste of space. I don't know, multimeters and test lights and crap in here. Impacts and air hammers and needle scalers, screwdrivers and whatnot. So anyway, I'm hoping that the new toolbox has lots of room to grow. Well, it's been about a week now with the new toolbox, and I can't remember where we left things, but I can tell you that I'm mostly moved in now, so I'll give you a little sneak peek at that. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the toolbox. I think it's a good value. The casters are really nice. They're better than the Mac casters by quite a bit. They're spring-loaded, the brake's really nice, and I did look, the bottom of the frame is tapped, so if you wanted to, you could put another set of casters in the middle. I'm actually glad that it doesn't have those. I think that would make it too unwieldy. So I think the 4 casters is the better way to go. I really like the drawer pulls, and I like that it has these 3 wide drawers. I wish that it had more narrow drawers. I would like to trade this deep drawer for 4 more of the narrow drawers. And I pulled the drawers out. You can mix and match them however you want. They're basically modular. The only thing is you cannot put the thinnest drawer all the way at the bottom because it doesn't have the peg for the latch on the drawer pull. But you can put the intermediate one at the bottom. However you want to move it around, you can do whatever you want. So that's kind of nice. And I did call this company. So this is the manual that comes with it. This is the model that I have right here, which the 6 I think indicates the blue color. Anyway, it gives you a number, a phone number here to contact for parts and service. These are the parts and service comes through a company called Quality Craft, which apparently is a Canadian company. They must be the importer for these boxes, and it does seem that they're the same as the ones being sold under the Montezuma name. So it's all over their website, Montezuma. Anyway, I asked him if I could buy the smaller individual drawers, and they said they sell the slides, but they do not sell the drawers. So you basically can't configure it however you want. But I guess that's to be expected. So one other weird thing that I noticed, it has double drawer slides on these really deep drawers, and I don't really know why they would do that. I guess they're anticipating, you know, that the drawer is larger, so you're going to put more stuff in it and be heavier. I don't know. So I've never had anything really heavy in that deep drawer on my Mac box. So I think what I'll do is I'll take that second slide off and I'll put it on these two bottom drawers on the main, the middle part of the box. This is the layout for the top drawer with all the sockets. Pretty much the same way I had it set up in the other box, but obviously now I have a lot more space. So 1/2-inch drive, 1/4-inch drive, 3/8 drive, and whatever. There's just a little bit of everything in here as far as sockets go. I think all these 1/4-inch ones are made by SK, and this is my favorite 1/4-inch drive ratchet. It's made by Matco. They only made them like this for a short time, then they went to that locking style, and I do not care for that. This is my favorite ratchet. I bought several others trying to replace it, and yeah, it's my favorite one. Same thing with this is my favorite 3/8 drive ratchet. It's an old Snap-on 36 tooth. So I know that they have like the 88 tooth now, but this old girl gets the job done just fine, and it's always been my favorite. I got a couple of these Protos that are really nice too, but I do like that Snap-on a lot. And this is a nice ratchet too, made by Proto. I think they call it a big dog ratchet. Anyway, I don't use it that much, but it is pretty nice. Let's see. 3/8 drive. Most of this stuff is all Proto, I think. And then, like, it just goes into everything back here. So, like, these are Napa swivels. Those are Snap-on, I think. These are like some Evercraft or something I bought at Napa one time when I needed them. The impacts are Proto. The chrome ones are Blackhawk. So my advice for buying these hex head sockets, like for socket head cap screws, is to make sure you get the style that don't have a step in the hex bit, because they'll always break right where that transition in size is in the hex bit, and they break fairly often anyway, especially like the 5/32 one. Break those all the time. So I don't bother with the warranty. I just cut off old Allen wrenches and make my own. Torx stuff there, that's probably Craftsman. I like these 8-point sockets. Those are handy for square things. And then there's some weird specialty stuff back here. That's an IRP valve socket for 6-liter Power Strokes. There's a filter socket for 6-liter Power Strokes. What else? This is a weird thing you need for the injector oil rail on Power Strokes. More 8-point sockets, more hex head stuff. Like these are Snap-on. I think those are SK, Proto. There's a Snap-on impact driver. Can't live without that. Yeah, all my ratchets are Proto for the 1/2-inch drive, but I really like these Mac breaker bars. I think Mac makes the best breaker bar, period, because they have, I don't know if it really makes that much difference, but I like this style on the drive end, and I really like the knurled handles for the Mac. I don't care for soft handles on any tools. Oh, let's see, I think I got a 3/8 drive one too. Yeah, also from Mac. So yeah, I really like Mac breaker bars. And like this is a 1/4-inch breaker bar made by Allen. That's really handy for bleeding brakes. Let's see, extensions. I think these Snap-on, what they call Wobble Plus extensions, are super handy. I really like those. And then, like with impact extensions, I just buy the cheap ones. Like these are DeWalt ones, because if you buy real impact extensions, like from Mac or Proto or whatever, they'll have the pin that you have to push in instead of having the regular ball detent like what these ones do, which that's probably safer, but it's really a pain in the neck. So anyway, that's my 2 cents about sockets. So wrenches, as you can see, pretty straightforward. And I got my metric and my standard all in one drawer with some space left over. And again, like, it's pretty much just anything. So most of my combination wrenches are made by Proto. I really like these. Their chrome is great, and they have sort of this anti-slip end that works, I don't know, works as well as any open end wrench as far as I'm concerned. But then, you know, like, that's an Armstrong, I think. The angle wrenches, these are really nice for hydraulics or anything to do with plumbing. They're from Proto also. That goes up to 1.25 inches. So this whole set goes to 1.25 inches. These are line wrenches made by Craftsman. Offset box end wrenches, Stanley. Who knows? Those are just Chinese. Like these stubbies are gear wrench. They work fine. I really like these combination ratcheting wrenches. These are Matco, but they were made by Apex and sold as either Armstrong or Matco. And since both those companies are gone now, I don't think we'll ever be able to buy this exact type of ratcheting wrench again. I think all the ones they have now don't have the offset on the box end. So I don't know, but I like these wrenches a lot. Then these are just gear wrench. And pretty much the same thing in the metrics, but you know, a little bit less variety. Because like I said before, once you get above 18 millimeter or 21 millimeter, I guess, they're pretty much the same, inch and metric. These are like some, I probably got them at like AutoZone or something, you know, when I needed to do a brake job or something. So who knows? I try to buy American-made tools whenever possible, but you know. Oh, there's some weird stuff here in the back. That's a tappet wrench for, you know, flat tappet engines. This is a extra long 9/16 wrench made by Snap-on. I used to have a whole set of these extra long wrenches, but they weren't really that handy. They're almost too long to do most jobs, so I sold them off or traded them in or something. And then this thing here is probably old as my granddad, but it's pretty nice for doing starters and injection pumps on certain engines, mostly old stuff, because I think these are, I think it's 5/8 and 3/4 on either end, so old stuff. Okay, this third wide drawer, it's kind of a catch-all. So lots of scrapers here for different gaskets. These are prying tools for like interior trim or, you know, whatever, Christmas tree clips. This is a special tool for adjusting slack adjusters. You know, if you don't have one of those, you use a screwdriver like I did for years and years. There's a hose pick, O-ring picks, and then all my files. I'm a big Nazi about file handles. I can't stand using files that don't have handles on them. And handles are super cheap, guys. Put handles on your files. I think I said that in my other Toolbox video. Anyway, there's a file card and thread files and stones and mirrors and punches. I really like these pin starting punches. That's a important thing to have, because even these short little Mayhew punches, you will bend them over trying to get a stubborn pin to start moving. Once it starts, you can use the regular punches, but these pin starting punches are very handy, and same with the brass punches are extremely handy. You know, whatever, miscellaneous punches. This is kind of cool. This used to be a screwdriver. Again, this is probably as old as my granddad, and I took and turned the end down and made it into an awl, or a piercing tool. I use this when I'm doing oil changes to punch holes in oil filters to drain the oil out of them before you spin them off. That way you don't drop them and splash oil all over the floor. This is a long bearing driving punch, hood prop. Here's another tool that I made, which is an old magnet. I broke the end off of it, so I just glued it into a piece of 1/4-inch PVC tubing. It's really handy for when you drop bolts down into hard to reach places. This one here too is a flexible type of magnet. You can bend it to be whatever you want. There's some long pry bars in here. There's a big long Craftsman one, and then there's this long die hook. I'm a big fan of these die hooks. Those are the handiest pry bars as far as I'm concerned. That one's a Mayhew. The blue ones, I don't know what brand they are, but they're sold by McMaster-Carr. And then ladies' foot pry bars, all from Mayhew. And then this is like my most recent one I just got, which is a gear wrench indexable or adjustable pry bar. So I had a guy ask me, like, if you could only have one pry bar, what would you get? And I didn't really know how to answer that question. So I thought about it, and I thought, well, maybe one of these indexable ones would be pretty handy. But I had never really used one, so I decided to buy one and try it for myself. So I haven't really put it through its paces just yet. They make one that's longer too, that might also be a good tool to have in your box. You know, tape measures. Then there's some random crap in here. Deburring tools, stones. I like these hollow punches for making gaskets. There's some more transfer punches. Whatever, knives and stuff. Screwdrivers are here. So I got my hex keys in the back. I think I've talked before about these gold hex keys. I like them because people don't get them confused with their hex keys. There's some, you know, precision screwdriver stuff there, Torx bits, reversible screwdrivers. And then I use these SK screwdrivers. So two things that I like in a screwdriver is the hex bolster right here, so you can put a wrench on it and really screw them up. And then I like hard plastic handles. I cannot stand soft rubber grips like these Stanley. They have that soft rubber on them, and they just don't last. So, personal preference. Electrical stuff, there's a test light and then the amp clamp and remote start switch, and there's some stuff missing out of here. If you're going to get a amp clamp for working on, you know, whatever, make sure you get a Hall effect style so it will work on DC. Most inductive, well, any inductive amp clamp will only work on alternating current. Chemicals and stuff down here. This is the stuff that used to be on the top of my old box. It's now got a home in this drawer. And then I went ahead and put most of my machinist tools in this drawer, but I don't really like the way this turned out. There's just too many small things here that don't really have a home. So I think I'll try to find a regular Kennedy machinist box to put up, just put it up on the top, and that'll open this drawer back up for something else. So this is all of my pliers. Again, does a person really need this many pliers? I don't know, probably not. Like, there's probably no reason for me to have these Knipex pliers and also the channel locks. I could probably get by with one or the other, but I've got both, so why not keep both? Adjustable wrenches. These are old Crestalloy brand wrenches that were still made in the USA. I've got a full set from 12 to 15 inches, I think. The 18's a Proto. Craftsman made in USA. Pipe wrench there. These are for external snap rings that don't have ears. You'll find them like in Eaton transmissions a lot. There's some other weird stuff in here. These are special pliers for axles, drive axles on big trucks. A lot of times on the older trucks they had these tapered cones that went underneath of the studs for the drive axles, and getting them out can be a real pain. So these pliers are designed to go into the groove in the cone and spread them a little bit so you can get them out. Safety wire pliers, brake spring pliers. You don't see anybody use these anymore. These are also probably old as my granddad, but you got to really work at it to wear a set of these out today. Now that everything has disc brakes, these are for spreading piston rings. Pretty handy little tool. Snap ring pliers. I like this style that have the quarter turn to open them up. Those The Knipex ones are really good, but I just can't justify having to have 4 sets of, or, 4 separate pliers for every size. So I'll stick with these ones for now. Lots of vice grips. I got my Mr. Pete proper original vice grips made in the USA. And then I got some Chinese ones too. Turns out they all work. These are pretty handy. These are sold by Mac. I don't know who makes them, but they're hose grip pliers. So handy for working on like heater hoses and stuff where you gotta rip them off. I got hammers and stuff in this drawer, and then torque wrenches. So I like the snap-on split beam torque wrenches. You've seen those before. This is the dead blows are Stanley, and they're called CompoCast. I think they were one of the first companies to ever really make dead blows, and they've been making them the same way for like 40 years. And I had one that was it lasted forever, and then the plastic finally got brittle and it just broke. So I went and bought a brand new one that was just like it. Figured if it lasted that long, it must be pretty good. So that's a dead blow ball peen, really nice hammer, and the bronze hammer, and my little engineer's hammer. I like that one. And then this thing here, if you work on trucks, this thing is a lifesaver. So I think it's a 6-pound sledge, or it might be a 4-pound sledge, and you just cut the handle off so that you've got this, you know, Thor's hammer type deal. And you can really wreck something with that. So when I worked in the truck shop, everybody had one of those. Well, big stuff still in the bottom drawer. All these chrome 3/4 drive sockets are made by Allen. They're all US made sockets, but Allen was part of that Apex group that's now been killed off. These 3/4 drive impact sockets are made by Martin, and they're American made tools. It's kind of an underrepresented brand, but Martin has made American made tools for a long time. They make a full set of wrenches and some pliers and stuff too. These are 3/4 drive hex bit sockets. I think those are Protos. I don't remember. Bunch of extensions. I got an Allen ratchet, and then this one here is made by Wright. It's kind of nice. It's a little bit longer. Oh, in here is great big hex keys. So I need those for certain things. Cheater bars. This is a special tool that I made for adjusting brakes on some kind of trailer, I think. Big combination wrenches. Those are all Proto. Goes from 1 3/8 up to 2 inch. And then over here, this thing, oh, is just a tool that I made. It's just a big long piece of bronze. And it's really handy for knocking around things that you don't want to permanently scar up. So I use it a lot when I'm rebuilding gearboxes and stuff. I just keep turning the ends down as it mushrooms. Okay, up here I got my impact and air ratchets. Now this is a Mac 3/8 air ratchet. Love this thing, other than it's super loud. Otherwise, one of the handiest tools that I have. Along with this, which is an old 12-volt DeWalt electric impact, cordless impact. This thing is fantastic. The only thing I don't like about it is it has about half the torque of this pneumatic one. So when the going gets tough, I had to get this guy out. And then this thing here, the old Matco MT1769. I don't know who made these for Matco. I think they might have been made by Aircat. Anyway, this is a fantastic impact wrench. Love this thing, and it's been through a lot with me. So air hammers in here, a needle scaler. This is also a Matco tool. This thing is fantastic. Yeah, and then something super handy that I have for it is this extra long punch for the air hammer. Use that thing frequently. It's really nice for driving out bearing races and stuff. You know, just more attachments for it. And then, you know, tire chucks and blow nozzles and stuff. There's a needle scaler. That's an Ingersoll Rand. If you live in the rusty part of the country, hard to live without one of those. And these are all just little die grinders and different discs and stuff for them. I got quite a few more than this. They're just I just haven't gotten them all put in here. And this would be just drills, so cordless and a pneumatic. I've got a right angle drill somewhere. I don't know where it's residing currently. And then, you know, just a knockaround set of drill bits and easy outs. That's rotor broaches. I mean, I've got oodles and oodles of drill bits, you know, because I got a whole machine shop. And then in here is just whatever, miscellaneous stuff. There's a little code reader, fender cover, scribe, transfer punches, letter and number punches, and then all my magnetic trays, labeler, gloves, whatever. I'll give you a little peek behind the doors of this cabinet. So things are a little different for me because, you know, it's my shop, so I don't really have to keep everything in my toolbox. You know, when you're a mechanic working in somebody else's shop, your toolbox is kind of like your own little island. It's like the only place where you can keep things safe. And, you know, all this stuff would have to be jammed into your toolbox if you were working in somebody else's shop. But because this is my shop, these are basically the shop tools for everybody to use. So I'll give you a little sneak preview of what's in here. So I think I've mentioned before, I do all my own electrical work. So this is like a bag I can just grab to do electrical work. Well, here, let me just pull it out because it's actually pretty well organized. So anyway, like this is what an electrician would have. Stuff for bending conduit and deburring conduit. Different kinds of electrical tape for IDing wires and stuff. You know, standard electrician stuff. And we'll just jam that back in there. Knockout punches, and there's a fish tape. And then that Kennedy toolbox there is full of just random carpentry tools that I mostly use for like crating or undoing crates. And then there's some AC manifold gauges, soldering, heat gun. And then all this stuff up here is just like specialty tools for working on vehicles mostly. So battery stuff, you know, test equipment, fan clutch tools, whatever. And then up here is all the really big sockets. So these are all my wheel nut sockets. And like that's a 2 3/4 inch socket for pinion nuts, or yoke. Yeah, pinion yoke nuts. There's a 1-inch torque multiplier. This is some kind of a chipping hammer that I don't think I've ever used. Oh, there's an input shaft for a rotor entry transmission in case you got to do a clutch job. Bolt cutters. And then back here is a full 1-inch drive socket set. Just a Chinese one like that. And then like this drawer I have all my power tools. So normally there's a circular saw and a sawzall and whatever, hammer, drill and stuff in there. Then up top I have these little trays. So like here's one I can grab just for patching tires. It's got my buffer and, you know, whatever stuff in there. This is all for rivets in case I got to patch a trailer roof or something. And then plumbing stuff, tube cutters and deburr tools and, you know, whatever, bending tools. I think my brake line flaring stuff is in there. So anyway, I don't really need that huge of a toolbox because I store stuff, you know, in these cabinets. Well, I think we'll probably leave it there. I did order a vise and I'm going to mount that on top, but it hasn't come in yet, so that'll be maybe the subject of a future video. And then I'm entertaining the idea of building a wall back in the back. I don't want a hutch because, well, number one, I don't need it. Number two, it won't work with the vise. And number three, I'm worried that, you know, if I don't have it plugged, like a light plugged in, it'll block all the light to the top of the work surface. I don't want that, but a wall might be a nice thing to have with some pegboard hooks. I can, you know, put some things I grab all the time and my camera gear and stuff up there. So maybe that'll be the subject of a future video. But anyway, fairly happy with the box so far. And I think if you're looking for a toolbox, this is a good option for you, especially if you want to stay away from the tool trucks and the, you know, the crazy prices. Yep, good job, kiddo. Why don't you sweep up this big pile of garbage that's in the middle of the floor? Or not.
Why were
Alright.
you parked?
What kind of pizza?
Pepperoni.
That's not a location.
Oh. Ah, driftwood would be good.
Yeah, can we handle that?
No.
Alright.
Oh, but it sounds so good.
It is good. That doesn't mean it's gonna work. Get her. Sweep up, Mom. Well, she pulled a dirty trick.
Mom didn't have good balance, though. There we go.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna move on to my next project. Did I mention that I bought a dump truck? Maybe not.